Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Media Boat Podcast. This is episode 502 of the Media Boat, where we talk about movies, TV, music, and video games, not necessarily in that order. My name is Mike. Last week was Matt, so now we're flip-flopping for solo shows. Like I said, today is September the 2nd. Welcome to September, everybody. Hope you had a really good Labor Day weekend. This is episode 502, music section. Start the music section with the Billboard. Start the Billboard with the Hot 100. And the hottest song in the land is Golden by Huntrix, aka The Various Artists. At number 2, Ordinary by Alex Warren. At 3, What I Want is Morgan Wallen, featuring Tate McRae. At 4, Your Idol by Soulja Boys. And rank your top 5, Soda Pop by Soulja Boys. If those sound familiar, that's because it didn't change. As for your Billboard 200, at number 1 is the problem himself, Morgan Wallen. At 2 is K-Pop Demon Hunters by Various Artists. At 3, Wishbone by Conan Gray. Coming at 4, The Last One by Gunna. And running at your top 5, You'll Be Alright Kid by Alex Warren. If you're wondering where these two Sabrina Carpenter album is, well, they came out last week, so it'll be part of next week's charts. As for your new releases, if you like any of those albums, we have new releases, including Double Infinity by Big Thief, Cut Copy by Moments, Traces of You by Ivy, Sleep Circle by Max Richter, All Night Days by Rob Thomas. Yes, that Rob Thomas, but not with his 20 matchboxes. We also have International by Saint Etienne, Cutthroat by Shame, and lastly, Antidepressants by Suede. Let's get into music news, where we have who? Who else but The Who? That's right. That band, The Who, have announced a new box set reissue of their 1978 album, Who Are You? Formats include a Super Deluxe Edition, where you can garner 7 CDs and 1 Blu-ray, including 71 unreleased sessions, demos, rehearsals, live tracks, and the scrapped Glyn Johns mix of the album, as well as a new remaster for the finished original. It also comes with a 100-page book and Atmos and stereo mixes by Steven Wilson. The original album, Who Are You?, was released back in 1978, shortly before the death of The Who's original drummer, Keith Moon. And their subsequent tour was their first without him. That US leg of the tour is captured, newly mixed, and presented on a live album within the Super Deluxe Edition box set. Be sure to pick this up for any big Who fan in your life, or, to add it to your big collector's edition. As Matt pointed out last week, digital editions are very nice, but you don't own the physical copy unless you physically own the copy. Here, with the Super Deluxe Edition of Who Are You?, you can own a physical copy in this very limited edition box set. Of course, you may want to enjoy The Who first. Ask your grandparents about it. Maybe your parents? I don't know. Weird in between mix there. All right, so Matt is not here to talk about Sabrina Carpenter and her new album, Man's Best Friend. And unfortunately for you, that does mean he's leaving it up to me to tell you about it. So I listened to Sabrina Carpenter, Man's Best Friend. And then I listened to it again. And then I listened to it a third time. This doesn't mean that it's good. It just means I wasn't quite sure where to land on it. And that's ultimately where I came away with this. Because maybe if I was in my own little social bubble in my 20s as a girl, sure, these songs would resonate with me, but ultimately they don't. So it's not something that I can like point to and say, yes, I understand what you're going through, Sabrina Carpenter. I understand what it's like to be a idol fixture, to have these man children glom onto me. I understand what it's like to have the sexual escapades of my early youth without any of the subsequent consequences, where I can live my bubble and just shun everything out and only focus on me, me, me. That's ultimately what I came away with this, is that it's a very me, pick me album and just not quite hitting the notes. That being said, I did like the back half of the album more than I liked the first half. I really, really despised where it was going with the first half of this album. But by the time I got the second half, I understood it, which why I kind of went back to it and then back to it again just to make sure I understood where this was going. It's a little bit all over the place, a little bit of a chaotic mess. It's really much not wants to play the open relationship game and doesn't want to pin any of the blame on Sabrina Carpenter herself in this writing. It is very mixed, it is very pop heavy, as such was with her big hits Espresso and Please, Please, Please. But then I did something interesting. After I finished listening to it for the fourth time, I then went and listened to the uh, opposite of this album, but rather the same contemporary in terms of artists. Because I went and listened to Olivia Rodrigo's Guts, her second album, the one that just came out. And I like that album more for her second album than what Sabrina Carpenter here did with Band's Best Friend. I understood more from a songwriting purpose what Olivia Rodrigo was doing rather than what Sabrina Carpenter did here. So ultimately, not my jam, not my cup of tea. Some of it is good. Some of it I could see like is interesting, but as a whole as an album, not that interesting for me. I'll be wary to hear what Matt has to say about this, but ultimately, it's a bit too chaotic for an album that I'm just going to have on, especially with songs about tears dripping down the thighs, which I thought was eyes at the first, and then I was like, oh no, no, she's definitely talking about her vibrator. All right, let's get into video games, where we start with new releases, including Void Crew for the PS5 and Xbox Series X, Star Wars Outlaws for the Switch 2. It's already out on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, but now it comes to the Switch 2. We also have Hell Is Us for the PC, PS5, Xbox Series X. Adventure of Samsara for everything. Wide release. You got it. You can play it. Also, Bad Cheese. Wide release. You got it. You can play it. But get out of the way. We got three heavy hitters coming this week. First off, it's basketball season because NBA 2K26 is out this week. Wide release. You got it. You can play it. Also wide release, game I'm looking forward to, Everybody's Golf, Hot Shots for the PC, PS5, and the Switch. But if you're like most of the internet, you are now clamoring for the sequel, Hollow Knight, Silk Song, which is out on everything, wide release this week for $20. That's right, they announced the price for it as well as the date last week. So it's here. You can get your hands on Hollow Knight Silk Song for $20. It's everywhere. You got it. You can play it. You could, if you want, play it. All right. Let's get into video game news, where we gotta talk about IGN. Because the Creators Guild of IGN has announced a 6-month, quote, work to rule action in response to a pattern of layoffs by IGN and its parent company, Ziff Davis. The Guild states that management has repeatedly laid off staff or seen them leave due to overwork, but has refused to backfill these positions. As a result, the remaining Guild members have been forced to take on extra work, leading to longer hours and burnout. The union is refusing to take on the work of their laid off colleagues. And this pressure is intended to force management to either rehire the former staff or backfill those roles. According to the post on Blue Sky, quote, starting today, Lentz members are committing to do our jobs. No more, no less. We'll show up to work on time and leave on time. We're taking all of our lunchtime every day. They're sticking to the rules. They're setting an example for management that they cannot be treated like this. And to the letter of their contract, they will work from 9 to 5 and clock out and go home and not put in the overtime or extra work. And we'll see what happens with this. IGN should just rehire some of this former staff they've laid off. They should fulfill these roles or backfill these roles. They should do the right thing. But as we know, it's a business. Hate saying it, but when you see creatives leaving and not wanting to come back, maybe you should look up at management and be like, why don't they want to work for us? Surely it can't be the pay, the low pay, and the long hours. That's what they want to do, right? Right? Wrong. So IGN, the parent company, needs to step up. They need to help their workers and need to be able to get them the positive staff that they need. Now, on to video games thoughts. As Matt alluded to last week, I did play a game, Sword of the Sea, and I've been streaming this game over at twitch.tv/MediaBoat. So, what is this game? It's from Giant Squid, the team that brought us Journey, the classic game Journey, and it's got the same exact art style where a lot of sand, a lot of bright colors, a lot of various colors, but this time we're filling that sand with water and the ocean. It's funny because I just played Jusant, which reminded me a lot of this game where you're in what's essentially more or less like a desert, starting off in a desert environment. And as you go up the Jusant mountain, you find more and more aquatic life. Same thing here with Sword of the Sea. You're tasked with returning sea life to this vast desert. It's very beautiful, very well done. You ride around on a sword as a surfboard mobility. So you're flipping, you're doing tricks, you're gaining speed. You can ride on the different and marine life, like the dolphins and the whales and the sharks. So it's really cool. A lot of it had a lot of wow moments where you're like, oh wow, they're doing this, and oh wow, I didn't expect this. And that's what I really liked about the game, is that going into it, just not having seen any trivia, just being like, oh, this is available to me. I guess I'll play it. There's a lot of wow factors in this game, especially coming from a story where your protagonist, and frankly nobody, speaks. You find out a lot of the lore through this land, through the different monuments spread throughout, as well as like a war that happened before the game started. So fighting and building on those pieces, it helps to add to the mystery of this game. But even if you like skip all that and just play it straight through, it's only about a 4 hour game. It's really quick. And this is me like going everywhere and like trying to capture everything, and even like losing track of where I was and trying to backtrack. It still took me about 4 hours to complete it. So it runs very fast. It's very smooth. The gameplay mechanics work really well. There was one or two times I kind of wish there was more of a hint system, but other than that, once I understood where I was going, I was like, oh, I get it. I probably should have paid attention earlier. But just little nitpicky stuff. But overall, I had a fantastic time with Sword of the Sea. Like I said, it's a quick 4 hours. Pick it up, play it, enjoy it. It's a very fun game, and I can probably see this somewhere coming into my top 5 by the end of the year. It is that good. All right. Well, since Matt's not here to talk about video games, let's move on then into television, where we start with the sports corner. And over in golf, Tommy Fleetwood won the Tour Championship. Technically, he did not win any match during the season prior, but garnered enough points to be a part of the Tour Championship. And there's actually a kind of a difference in this championship where no longer, based on the amount of points you had, gave you a stroke advantage. That's no longer the case here. Everyone started with a blank zero slate, and Tommy Fleetwood took definite advantage of it, shooting 6 under each day and ultimately winning the Tour Championship, both the match and the season. Over in the world of tennis, the US Open is here. They're currently going through the quarterfinals with the tennis finals matches this upcoming weekend. So come next podcast, we will have a new US Open champion. Speaking of champions, Kyle Schwarber is the champion of home run hittings as he had a historic 4 home run game, which put him within one of current home run leader, big dumper himself, Cal Raleigh. Over in college football, number 1 has fallen to Texas has fallen to number 3, Ohio State. As a result, Ohio State is now the new number 1 ranked in the AP poll. Whether they hold on to it for 1 week or longer, we will see this upcoming weekend. But before we get to that weekend, it's here. It's here. We are currently, as of this recording, 2 days away. Wait, that looks like 4. 2 days away from NFL kickoff. On Thursday, September 4th, the new Super Bowl champions, Philadelphia Eagles, will play against Jerry World and the Dallas Cowboys, where the banner will be raised, the rings will be given, and the Cowboys will probably get stomped as they always do against the Eagles in what should be a very easy win for them. But we'll see what happens as the season officially kicks off on Thursday with the first official Red Zone this upcoming Sunday. All right. That's it for sports. Let's get into TV news, where we go to the very reliable well of SNL. As we are a month away from the 51st season, we've had some departures and newly announced arrivals to the famed studio for Saturday Night Live. First off, Devon Walker was the first cast member to be let go ahead of season 51 after serving 3 years on the show. Michael Longfellow is also exiting the show after 3 seasons, despite earning a promotion to the main cast ahead of last season. The most shocking exit thus far is Emil Joaquin's after just 1 season. The funny stand-up made a mark during his first and now only year with appearances on Weekend Update. But the biggest name leaving the show so far is veteran Heidi Gardner. She's been a mainstay since joining the show in 2017 for season 43 and was promoted to the main cast 2 years later for season 45. With Heidi Gardner's exit, this now makes Ega Wodum the longest tenured woman in the cast. SNL has added 5 new cast members ahead of this upcoming season, including Ben Marshall, who has made regular appearances on the show as part of the comedy trio Please Don't Destroy. He will also join newcomers Tommy Brennan, Jeremy Colhane, Cam Patterson, and Veronica Slowikowska. Tommy Brennan has performed on The Tonight Show, starring Jimmy Fallon. Jeremy Colhane is a regular on the comedy streaming service Dropout TV. Cam Patterson is a regular on the live comedy podcast Kill Tony. And Veronica Slowikowska has appeared in Tires and the latest season of What We Do in the Shadows. SNL season 51 will premiere on October 4th at 11:30 on NBC and Peacock. So yeah, 1 month away from SNL and new faces. This goes in line with what Lorne Michaels said at the end of last season, where he plans a significant shakeup to happen. A lot of people over the summer were speculating that maybe Colin Jost or Michael Che would be leaving Weekend Update. Neither seems to be the case as of right now. We are still a month away, so something could change. But for now, we have 4 departures and 5 additions. All right, let's get into thoughts. And I've got some thoughts. Now, last week, maybe the week before, Matt tried talking about Long Story Short. I've watched this. I've enjoyed this. I will save my thoughts for when I can talk about this with Matt, because I think he's enjoying it just as much as I am, and I'd like to have that discussion when we're together on the podcast. So put a pin in Long Story Short, or better yet, go watch Long Story Short, and then next week, come back here and hear us talk about it. So instead, I watched 2 other shows. Since we're talking about Netflix already with Long Story Short, let's talk the other show, Department Q, or Dept Q, on Netflix. I decided to watch this. Well, yeah, finish catching up and watching this because it did get a second season. And overall, it's okay in terms of a cold case drama. I think a lot of it drags at times. I think a lot of it, at least I think the pilot is really well done in that it throws you through a loop and a misdirection to get you hooked. But after that, the following episodes, some of them just felt like slogs, just waiting for something to happen, just waiting for a break in the case, just waiting for something to inspire me to want to finish it. I stopped a couple times to go to other stuff because every episode just felt so long. Now it is British, well, no, Irish television. So that kind of like helps to like the place and the setting and like how everyone speaks there, but just overall, it just felt so slow and bogged down. And while I see why it got a second season, I'm not looking forward to a second season. I thought a lot of this could have been quicker paced, especially with other cold story dramas. Yeah, drama shows that are out there. It just felt too long for me. On the flip side, the finale of Twisted Metal over on Peacock was this past week, and it is still fun. It is still hilarious. It is still very much tongue in cheek. There's a bunch of weird stuff going on. Some of it makes sense, some of it doesn't. Some of it is just for gags and laughs. And overall, it's just a very fun show over at Peacock. I'm just watching it no longer like feels like I'm drudging through it, but just like ha. Imagine like they're just told to go make Twisted Metal, but then very little to no oversight on what it is they're actually doing. So it's some wacky stuff. It's crazy. I enjoy the wacky. They definitely lean heavy into it, and it's just a fun time watching the show. You're supposed to like appreciate the absurdity of the show because they themselves are very absurd in the show. And that definitely helps to just the overall like metal car carnage that created within Twisted Metal. And the very end, the last episode, definitely got me. I was like, that's how they work Twisted Metal into this. Very well done. So that is 2 seasons over on Peacock. They do set it up for a potential third season. No announcement of a third season yet, but they do leave it open-ended should they come back of where they want to go. All right, now we're done with thoughts. Let's go through cancellations and renewals. What am I no longer watching? Well, you're no longer watching The Waterfront has it's been canceled after 1 season on Netflix. You're also not watching Motorheads has been canceled after 1 season on Prime Video. Trainwreck has been renewed for a 2nd season on Netflix. This is Trainwreck is the mini documentary series. They did the Poop Deck, the Fire Fest, and one other one. So that will be now coming back to Netflix. And over on NBC, Password by Jimmy Fallon has been renewed for a 3rd season. No deaths to report on this week, so let's move in real quickly to the movie section. Start the movie section with the weekend box office. And number one this weekend with a staggering $10 million is Weapons, bringing its total to 132. In a very surprise debut, I guess, coming in number 2 is Jaws, the re-release. That's right, the original blockbuster made its way to the number 2 slot in 2025 with $8 million. At 3 is one of your debuts this week, Caught Stealing with Austin Butler. That's at 7.8 million with its debut. Ooh, that's very low. Coming in at 4, Freakier Friday with another 6.6 million. That puts it up at 80. And rounding out your top 5, The Roses debuting to a $6.2 million. As for your other debut, The Toxic Avenger, apparently was toxic at the box office because it only garnered $1.2 million, putting it at 12th place. Well, much like Matt not being here, me not being here last week, and Matt not being here this week, we don't have a box office champ discussion to talk about. So let's get into what's coming up this week, including the latest in the Conjuring series, The Conjuring, Last Rites. We also have Twinless, which is a grief counseling for twins who have lost their twin. And it must be 2020 because Disney is taking a re-release of Hamilton. That's right. Remember when Hamilton, I mean, it was 5 years ago, so you don't remember the controversy. But when Disney announced that they bought the rights to Hamilton and that they were going to show it in the movie theaters, people freaked out. So instead, they switched it to being a Disney Plus show, and that premiered on July 4th, 2020. Well, 5 years later, it's now getting a proper theatrical release. So if you miss it on Disney Plus, or if you want to watch it in a theater, Hamilton this weekend. Let's get into our movie news. And we've got a movie coming out, not this week, but next week on the 12th, called The Long Walk. This is based on a Stephen King novel being produced by Lionsgate. Well, Lionsgate has given one lucky audience the chance to really understand what those characters are going through. A special treadmill screening that challenges viewers to walk at least 30 miles per hour for the entire duration of the movie. If you slow down and you get ejected before the movie ends. The influencers only screening took place this past weekend, August 30th, at the Culver Theater in Los Angeles. While the prize for making it to the end of the movie is not untold riches and a wish of your choosing, which which are the promised spoils for the victor in the movies challenge, it'll at least be an interesting way to get your steps in. And certainly being ejected from a movie is a much better result than getting brutally executed on the road by an anonymous guard, as it happens in the movie. The Long Walk stars Cooper Hoffman from Licorice Pizza and Saturday Night, and David Johnson of Industry and Alien Romulus as two of the boys who are walking by burning the shoe leather, with Mark Hamill, the Joker himself, playing the cruel major overseeing the festivities. The Long Walk arrives in theaters on September 12th. Now, this may sound like a bad and brutal punishment, but a 3-mile per hour pace for what's essentially an 80-90 minute movie averages out to about just a 5-mile walk. About a 5-mile walk. In just over an hour and a half. So it can be done. It's not that hard. It's a brisk walking pace. But yeah, unfortunately, they're not doing this everywhere. But this, congrats to Lionsgate for putting like this together in a promotion for it. Also, really weird for them to having done this in an actual like theater and swapping out treadmills everywhere. Maybe like is this something like I feel like I could do, but then again, it's easy armchair quarterback saying that sitting down here in front of a screen, then actually getting on a treadmill and actually walking. In fact, now I think about it, if I do that as actual exercise, just put on a movie and just walk for an hour and a half, yeah, I could probably do that. All right, I'm getting ahead of myself here. All right, let's talk about thoughts. And oh yeah, I watched a movie once again on Netflix, and I'm glad I wrote this down because I kind of forgot that I watched this. The Thursday Murder Club. So this is also on Netflix, starring some really old actors like Pierce Brosnan and Ben Kingsley uh and other older actors in a retirement community. But what they do is they like to solve cold cases. But what happens with one of their cold cases turns up to be a warm, fresh case from a murdered body on the grounds. Well, it's up to the detective club of the Thursday Murder Club to try and solve it in order to save the retirement community. It's goofy. It's a bit funny. It's a bit charming. It's a bit wonky. I can see where they're going with it and what they want to do with it. But at the same time, it's one of those kind of like charming, there's a little bit something there for the whole family to watch and enjoy. The actual murder like result, eh, if iffy, I'd say. It's no Knives Out. It's no Glass Onion like masterpiece of a whodunit. Uh, but at the same time, it's does just enough to satisfy like a warm, fuzzy feeling of, you old people trying to solve this. That's fun. So hit and miss, mileage may vary. But if you like murder mysteries, it's not really the worst one out there. And with that, that'll do it on this really, really quick and snappy podcast. Thank you for listening to me. If you want to find more information, you can reach out to us at MediaBoatPodcast.com. You can watch all of our archival stuff on YouTube. Just search Media Boat Podcast. If you want to listen to us, we're on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, everywhere. We're on Facebook. Just search Media Boat Podcast. We're on Twitch. Just search Media Boat Pod, switch.tv/MediaBoat. We're on IMDb, Discord, Blue Sky. If you want to ask us any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, anything you want us to talk about, you can email us at mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com. And with that, that'll do it for me. We'll be back next week, I think, with both of us with more news, more thoughts, and more of us. Okay, bye.